Welcome. Thank you for your support and patronage. Please help us by subscribing to my YouTube channel, Engineer Ravenal de Jesus, ASEAN Engineer, PECE, LPT. And don't forget to like and share our videos. This is the URL of our channel, and these are some contents of our channel. About me, I was an electronics and communications engineer, garnered 5th highest place in the ECE licensure examination on April 2005. Under Republic Act 9292, all registered electronics and communications engineer would be registered as electronics engineer having the same initials, or the ECE. A professional electronics engineer, PECE, advanced level engineer. ASEAN engineer, another advanced level engineer recognized in ASEAN member states. Licensed professional teacher, LPT, and a public servant. I also passed the Career Service Professional Examination given by the Civil Service Commission. We will really appreciate if you subscribe in our channel, as well as liking and sharing our videos. Rest assured, these videos will give information and entertainment for your reference and other purposes. Thank you very much. Welcome again to the YouTube channel. This video will present a paper entitled Roles of Information and Communications Technology and Resilience Towards Sustainable Asia-Pacific Region, presented during the 37th Conference of ASEAN Federation of Engineering Organization on September 11 to 14, 2019 in Jakarta, Indonesia. The scope of this paper: impacts of ICT to the society, to the economy, and to the gender and development, or GAD. Showcase of various ICT projects in the Philippines together with corresponding assessment of impacts towards resilience. Discussion of various technologies and/or ICT projects in Philippines and its possible applicability to other countries in the Asia-Pacific region. But before that, this is the prologue of this paper. It garnered 3rd place during the oral presentation on April 23, 2019. This conference was entitled Climate Smart and Disaster Resilient ASEAN International Conference. This slide now contains selected radio frequency bands of the electromagnetic spectrum. This is somewhat technical, but we actually use this frequency in our everyday lives. Let's see. We have the VHF. VHF covers TV channels from 2 to 13, as well as FM radios operate in this band. On the other hand, the ultra-high frequency, or the UHF, TV channels from 14 to 69 as well as lower band of microwave and satellite operate in UHF range. So, you don't have to be highly technical person to understand this electromagnetic spectrum. Selected radio bands are actually used in our everyday lives. To continue, we also have the amplitude modulation, or AM. you may pause this video if you want to read the description of these radio frequency bands. You may pause the video. Now, we have some simulation of radio wave propagation. The first type is the ground wave or the surface wave propagation, which is used in AM or amplitude modulation. This is the transmitting antenna. On the other side of the mountain is the receiving antenna. Let's see. This transmit a radio wave signal, a vertically polarized radio wave. As it travels through distance, it attenuates or weakens, getting weaker and weaker and weaker. But despite of being weaker and weaker, it has the ability to follow the curvature of the terrain and to reach the receiving antenna. Notice that waves travel along the obstruction. AM radio operating in MF range uses this type of propagation. Another type is the direct wave or space wave propagation. Self-explanatory, direct wave. This requires a line of sight. This mountain may obstruct the direct wave. So, the direct wave, example, microwave, requires the line of sight propagation. Contrary to the ground wave has the ability. It has the ability to follow the contour of the earth as well as the terrain. Another type is the skyway propagation. This is the transmitting antenna. It will transmit the radio wave, and this layer of the atmosphere, ionized layer of the atmosphere known as the ionosphere, will what? Will reflect the wave. We have the incident wave and reflected back to the receiving antenna. This skyway propagation make long distance communication possible. But this requires proper angle and proper frequency. Because some waves are refracted, penetrating to the ionosphere. Now, we have the selected ICT application with corresponding impacts. To name a few, the ICT as a whole, it can answer the challenges of social impact, economic impact, and the God impact, together with the Rapid Emergency Telecommunication Team or the RET, and the rural impact sourcing. The discussion. So we have the RET. What is RET? RET utilize ICT resources in order to handle critical information, and its handbook was submitted to the ASEAN Federation of Engineering Organizations or AFEO. Separate presentation of RET will be scheduled. We also have the Philippine National Public Key Infrastructure or the PKI. PKI is not new, but there are a number of challenges in the Philippines to be adopted by the citizen. It is necessary to equip the citizen with necessary ICT skills to adopt this PKI. That's the reason why capacity building is one of the major services offered by the DICT to the Filipino citizens. PNPKI promotes paperless transaction in the manner that it manages digital certificates of the applicant. Business transactions can still be done even parties are constrained by either calamity or disaster, provided that communication services are available. Even you are out of your office, you're on vacation leave or whatsoever leave, you can still sign documents if it is urgent to your office or to your operation, as long as you possess the digital certificate issued by the Philippine National PKI. We also have the Rural Impact Sourcing Technical Training. RIS brings ICT opportunities to the countryside, creating jobs and might decongest urbanized areas in a manner that migration to cities would be mitigated. Of course, the main reason why people migrate to cities is to seek opportunities, work opportunities, accessing government services, and other amenities. Once you are digitally equipped, you possess necessary ICT skills, you may undergo freelancing scheme. You may work on your own. That's the agenda of the Rural Impact Sourcing Technical Training by the DICT. To continue the discussion, the PNPKI, the National Broadband Plan, and RIS are projects, programs of Department of Information and Communications Technology, DICT. REC Handbook was published on June 2016, the same day when DICT was created from reorganization of various government agencies. While still on its infancy, DICT has already the provision to render disaster response. Building more ICT infrastructure are considered career opportunities for various engineering disciplines. The congestion of highly urbanized areas and bringing opportunities to the countryside are necessary actions. Well, let's see the epilogue of this presentation. Although the epilogue was not included in the original presentation of this paper during the 37th Conference of ASEAN Federation of Engineering Organization in 2019, the epilogue is a necessary episode in order to evaluate what this paper forecast. To continue with the discussion, applicability of Philippine scenarios in countries in Asia-Pacific region. What are those? The business continuity plans of both government and private institutions. Movement from congested capital cities. Associated hazards involved in the countries of Asia-Pacific region or Asian region. Earthquakes, tsunami, typhoon, monsoon rains, and flooding, which is common in the Asian region. On the other hand, ICT will give faster coordination within involved stakeholders. Disaster will not totally impair the operation of offices and companies. Again, let's see the epilogue portion of this presentation. Disaster will not totally impair the operation of offices and companies. Take note of that. Slide number 9. Faster information dissemination. Crowdsourcing can be verified. Of course, this is the prevalent nowadays, the fake news. With faster ICT, the RET, and other instrumentalities, both of the government and non-government organizations, can validate and verify the information whether it is a fake news or not. Conclusion, recommendation. ICT brought social, economic, and God impacts. It was able to address the challenges even before the epilogue. Somewhat suspense. What does the epilogue of this video all about? Again, this paper was presented during CAFEO 37 in 2019 at JI Expo, Jakarta, Indonesia. ICT roadmap of the Philippines could be used as a model for other countries and vice versa. Disaster resilience was broad, encompassing fields of natural science, social science, and ICT that would be potential areas for research and development. ICT have various roles ranging from radio communication, data communication, computers and internet, job outsourcing, which give opportunities people from the countryside, and also decongest areas like Metro Manila that is threatened by the big one, which is earthquake with 7.2 magnitude. Of course, the Philippine government as well as its stakeholders, private sector, non-government organization are preparing for this. Hopefully, this may not happen, but it is better to be prepared. A number of contingency plans were made. A number of drills were conducted for the people to be prepared in this. The province of Aurora and provinces in the eastern Luzon would have economic opportunities due to potential exploration in the Philippine rice. Existing ICT applications and technologies should be updated/upgraded due to geologic and demographic dynamics. And this was the certificate of attendance given by the chairman of AFEO about the references. References and sources were cited earnestly in the paper of this presentation. For the full paper, you may visit this link that contains the full paper if you are interested for research, to get data, information. Now, what's the prologue? I mean, the epilogue. The prologue, there was an oral presentation during the Climate Smart and Disaster Resilient ASEAN. And what would be the prologue of this conference paper? Let's see. Okay. What's the epilogue? Prologue. Then the epilogue. COVID-19 pandemic brought detrimental impacts. Virtual environment was made possible by ICT. Some areas in the Philippines, which either unserved or underserved by internet providers, radio communications were utilized by teachers and their stakeholders. You may watch the video presentation, the conference 2021, the ICT, challenges and opportunities in ICT. So this is the URL of the YouTube for you to watch another video about the challenges and opportunities in ICT. The demand, the demand in ICT skyrocketed during the pandemic, and the rest is history. The Institute of Electronics Engineers of the Philippines, ICEP, Radio Engineer Circle or REC, together with the Department of Information and Communications Technology, DICT offered free webinar for teachers and general public aspiring for amateur radio operator as part of requirements by the National Telecommunications Commissions in the Philippines. Again, there are still areas in the Philippines either unserved or underserved by internet providers, teachers, and their stakeholders uses radio communication for their alternative learning schemes because face-to-face classes are discouraged during this pandemic. Despite of the advances in technology for the availability of a number of internet services, computer, the radio communication is still necessary, and hoping that this presentation will be useful to your research, to your studies, and the RISTT was rebranded to Digital Jobs Training, or the DJT, as an employment affects also cities. So the epilogue, we made attempt to equip our citizens, our stakeholders, with necessary skills in the field of radio communication. Thank you very much.